Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies strengthening your business while offering your talents to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Hello, and good morning. Welcome to another Tuesday marketing broadcast. I'm Christine Deane, your host, and I'm excited because we have Joel Snyder in the house today. Whoop, whoop.
Hey, hi. I'm excited to be here.
Oh yeah, we're going to have some fun today. Joel always brings he's got this super mastermind that just, I don't even know what he does, but he is absolutely incredible when it comes to marketing. So we are really lucky to have him today. And we're going to have a lot of fun. Big shout out to all of our fan bases. We are out there blasting out to a bunch of different groups. If you want us to blast out to your group too, let us know. I wanted to say hey to some of our partners. We've got, goodness, I can't even keep track of us all anymore. The Prepared Group. Let's see, I've got a list. Partly. Entrepreneurs Community, Sales Training, Selling with Dignity, of course, to our Giver Marketing Group. Oh, Yes, I Can, Women in Business, around North Dallas Business Networking, Addie's Veterans Magazine, Believers with Something to Sell. I mean, it just goes on and on. We have all these groups that we push out to because they go, hey, you're talking about marketing? Our entrepreneurs would like to know more about that. Our business owners, right? Our nonprofits. So that's what we love to do because when we know something, we want to share it with you because the tide rises all, right?
Absolutely. And I'm excited to talk a little bit about today how digital advertising and targeting plays into growing your fan base and audience building and kind of pulling the curtain back on a few of today's trending topics.
Ooh, I love that. Joel always brings the trending topics. He's keeping up on all that kind of stuff. And it's hard, right? Things are constantly changing. And we're full-time marketers, okay? So imagine how hard it is for your entrepreneurs, your small businesses, your medium businesses, and even your larger businesses to keep up with the constant shifting of what's going on in the trends, let alone the advertising. I got to tell you guys, Joel is my go-to when somebody comes to me and goes, I need help with advertising. I go, oh, you want to talk to Joel? Let me bring him in on this because you don't want to talk to me about that, right? Because we have areas of expertise. Broad, when it comes to marketing, it's such a broad field. You need somebody that can come in as a CMO kind of space, right? Like what Joel does, and kind of help direct you. But then you need people that actually know how to implement, right? So that's where the Giver Marketing really shines, right? Because we have so many experts. But Joel, have you always done advertising? Have you always done the CMO? Talk to us about your journey. For those that don't know you, how'd you get where you are?
Yeah, thanks. So it was a kind of an indirect journey, although, I've been in advertising sales for a long time. It's just basically the only thing I'm qualified to do. So I don't have a ton of different jobs, but what's been fun is over the course of time owning 5 different businesses, focusing in the marketing side, spent several years in the incentive industry, working with productivity and how employee behavior and consumer behavior affects profitability within a company, and got the chance to have an opportunity to tour the country with a major supplier and get inside of large corporations like Pacific Bell, Shell Oil, AT&T, Texaco, lots of large corporations with multiple employees, to really think about the human side of business. And I think we as entrepreneurs, might be smaller regional companies, we kind of overlook what human behavior means to us in terms of the longevity of our business. And a lot of entrepreneurs, when you ask them what's their main objective in the growth conversation, it's I just need to sell more. Well, a lot of times it's not about selling more. It's about understanding how people buy your business, right? How they buy your services and your products. And when we look at all the different industries out there, whether you're in a B2B category or business to consumer category, right, there's a trigger, there's a behavior, there's an emotional connection, right? And all of the things that we talked about in the advertising and marketing space as ways to build an audience, but the business owner tends to overview that and think everyone behaves like me. And that's how I'm going to build my business, right? Is I'm going to be the judge on how people are going to behave. And we have an old book out there that talks about the saliency of behavior called Waiting for Your Cat to Bark. And if you think you can control the customer journey, unfortunately, what you think might be a straight line actually looks like a ball of yarn. So, I want to talk to you kind of about why people's targeting options typically fail.
Ooh, I love that topic because you're right. A lot of times we get so busy and bogged down. We don't think about just the basics of what behaviors are we expecting? What kind of behaviors are our clients taking? What makes sense in their client journey, right? So we're like, oh, they're doing this. And then you might do some market research and go, no, that's not what's happening at all. Whoops, that didn't work, right? So got to take the time to kind of dive into that. So we're going to have a lot of fun today, Joel. Are you ready to fly and have some fun?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's have some fun. I think, the biggest thing is when we're looking at our customers and our growth and building our audience and behaviors, is a lot of times that intelligence comes directly from the audience themselves. And if you haven't done recently a consumer or a client, I should say, interview, where you've taken your top 10 customers and you've asked them very specific questions about you and your services and so on, you might be surprised at the responses. And we even had a client recently where when we talked to their clients about them and their services, they discovered a new growth opportunity, something the clients wanted that they weren't talking about. But we're very equipped to provide. So I want to just kind of go into some of this detail a little bit, but why targeting options fail, how to fix it, and as we look at what a typical search result looks like, right? So the first behavior in the customer journey is some type of search behavior, right? I have an idea or I saw an ad and now I'm going to go and research it. We also know that nowadays, many people have already decided to make a purchase long before they've ever reached out to you. And they're just looking to make sure they're not making any mistakes or, we're so self-educated these days. We don't want to be sold. We want to buy, but no one wants to be sold. So, right, so we do this kind of intro to research to find out what's going on. So the first typical behavior in a purchase action is some type of search. And if we were to use the normal Google search results, it would look something like this. And you would have at the top of your search engine results, and we've all seen it, this big text area says sponsored results, which simply means that people are paying for those slots. So then I talk to people all the time. They go, "Oh yeah, I just scroll past that, right?" And I go down to the listings of the businesses underneath, and then I pick somebody based on their reviews or whatever it is. Right? Well, enter the new generation of search results, and that is AI search mode. And while this is not the mainstream at the moment, it is a trend. And in the first couple of months, when Google rolled out their AI search mode, they had something like 600,000 users, right? I mean, just like boom, everybody was like, okay, curiosity, what's this? Let's check it out. So when you look at AI search mode, what happens is the AI search engine tries to answer the question based on website content, reviews, engagement, all the things that the algorithm does. And we all know the Google algorithm reaches around the world about 3 times if you were to line up all the code. And so we can't game the system, but we can certainly see trends in what happens when people do make a search. And so in the AI search mode, what comes back to you is some type of reasoning, right? So based on your location and the agencies that you're looking for, these are the ones nearest you that we think is the most credible for you to talk to. And so they give you those organic search results there. And then the paid ones are now off to the right. So you have the top 3, and then you can continue to scroll down and do more.
Yeah, it's interesting, this whole shift towards AI. I do a lot with AI myself, but I've noticed, for example, when you do the Google search, right, you've got the little bar, you type in what you want, right? There's the little icon where you can talk it, right? Mm-hmm. And there's an AI mode right there, right on that search bar, really encouraging you to use that. So we're definitely seeing that trend more and more.
And what Google recognized when they rolled this out in June, I believe, they noticed that search behavior, again, talking about being self-researched, right? We do a lot of self-information before we go and talk to people. They realized that people were using search to educate themselves, not necessarily to purchase. So what happened was a huge drop in your analytics on clicks. And what AI search mode became was a 0-click search. So think about it. When we went to our normal search mode, we got these sponsored results and we got a listing. And if you wanted to find out more, or you thought that that search result was credible, you would click, right?
Right.
Okay, well, now you see down at the bottom, it says ask anything. At the bottom of the image, underneath the AI search mode, there's a little gray bar and it says ask anything. And what happens now? Okay.
Yeah, so it gives us the answer without us having to go to the websites and click on everything.
Right. Now, if you are a platform whose revenue is driven by paid per click models, what just happened to your revenue? People got the answer without clicking.
Mm-hmm.
So no one got charged for that answer.
But then no one got visited for that answer either.
But the client, the person searching, was informed. So now how are you going to grow your business if people are self-educating and not clicking, right? They didn't come to your website, they got the answer they wanted, and now they moved on, right? So Google came back and they said, ooh, I think we need to monetize AI search mode. And they put in a new ad platform called Performax AI. And what that does is it ties together your Google Business Profile, your search partners, and YouTube. And it ties it all together so that now when you sponsor an ad in AI search mode, in Performance search mode, there's now either this bar off to the right or within the search results themselves, there's a little tiny link and a little banner ad, right? And so now what they're saying is, go ahead and use AI search mode, but underneath there's someone you can talk to about it. And now we can charge them because you're going to click. So
they found a new way to place the ads.
Well, yeah, I mean, because, a 0-click search means no money for Google. So when we look at the customer journey, we look at different aspects based on the analytics and the tags that we place on your websites. And so what we're looking for is user volume, number one. And I kind of put these in order of priority. And then the number of new users. So are we getting new users to the website? Are we getting repeat users coming to the website? And I'm not going to get into it here, but in the weeds of the analytics, there's things like daily active users, weekly active users, and monthly active users. You'll see those dynamics in the analytics.
I could see some smaller businesses going, and what? Why do I want to know the difference? Why do I need all these analytics? This seems really overwhelming. Why do I need to know all this, Joel?
Yeah. So the fun part is, like I tell my clients, you got a guy, right? You can say, I got a guy, right? You don't have to understand it all, but you can certainly see the relevance of it in our ongoing client check-ins. And we generally check in with our clients every 2 weeks if they're mature, maybe once a month, depending on the level of activity. But bottom line is, we look at the activity on the website. If we're building an audience, which is the context of our discussion today, how many people are coming there and how many of them are new? Now, if you have an app, you might be interested in the user side growing. So again, daily active users, that might be an important metric for you. Think of Slack, right, which is a big communication channel. A lot of people are using it every day during the week, but on the weekend, they're not. So their daily active user metric is not as important as a weekly active user metric. How many people are actually using our platform? So those of you in the SaaS community, right, these are very important metrics for you.
I love how you point that out, right? Between what statistics are important for your business specifically, because it's not the same for everybody. So I love that you explain that.
Yeah, and then where are they coming from? So when we look at mediums, in the middle image there, number one says none, right? Medium, that's generally someone typing in your website, right? Just direct, right? You'll also see, sometimes in your analytics, you'll see the term direct. And it's somebody just typing in your website. So they saw an ad somewhere, they heard about you, whatever, they just want to check you out. And we also have the customer journey, where people will see an ad, but they're like skeptical. I'm not clicking on that ad. Is this a real company, right? Do they really know what they're talking about, right? Is this an aggregator who's just going to send me 15 more ads, right? What's going on? So they'll take that address and they'll go to a new browser tab, or they'll open another window, right? And they'll type it in. So direct is an important,
right? So they're checking credibility, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Want to make sure you're legitimate, right? There are lots of scams out there. We all got to be careful, but we do want to know what's happening. And in this example here, this is one of our clients where the bulk of their traffic is people seeing their ads somewhere or somewhere in their community and then typing in their name. And then you've got cost per click, which is CPC, right? And then you have referral traffic. Referral traffic is starting somewhere and then clicking over, right? So there's a referral there. Organic traffic is someone coming either from your Google Business Profile or off of a search that's not sponsored, right? So it's an organic search result. And then the source becomes important, right? So not only now are we looking at where users are coming from and how did they get there, is my ad budget meaningful to me, but now how are they coming? And you'll see right at the top there, number 3, AmazonAdSystem.com, right? We had Google, we had direct sources, and now we have ad platforms. So I wanted to show you this, right? So you've got Amazon Ad System, which is a Microsoft also product, uses the Amazon Ad Systems. So, and then you've got MSN, right, which also displays ads, and our client is advertising both on Bing and Google. So we're seeing both of those sources getting attribution. And then, of course, the social media, mobile, Facebook, and so on. So we want to look at that to see, okay, we're investing in advertising. We've got a marketing guy. Is he doing his job, right? Or a marketing gal. Is she really singing from the hymnal? How are we doing, right? So these are ways that we look at that performance and we say, okay, we had lots of green in this 30-day period. So some things are doing really well, and then we have some red, right? So there's some other areas of improvement. And in this case, GMB was down 17%. So the Google Business Profile needed some lift.
Right. So when you look at these numbers, you got to stop and say, what does this mean? And a lot of times this is really down in the weed stuff, right? So a lot of times as small business owners, this isn't something they want to handle themselves. They want an ads person that's going to handle this for them, right? Because otherwise you have to go in there and say, can I just set it and forget it? No, you can't. You can, but you're going to spend a lot more on your ad spend that way if you don't have somebody that's keeping their eyes on it, watching the trends and seeing what's happening. Okay, this was here and now it's dropped. Well, is somebody going to stop and investigate and find out why, right? Unless you have somebody dedicated on your team that's keeping an eye on that, you're just spending that money and not paying any attention to what's going on with it, right?
Yeah, and it's an important thing to consider because data is reflective, right? So this is what happened in the last 30 days or the last 7 days, depending on how you want to track your data. It's not predictive. And so you need to have somebody with insights who looks at the data and says, okay, let's predict this model and let us know, what we're going to get. So when we look at data for our clients, the first thing that we do is a lot of testing because we want to know predictability. If you're going to invest money in your advertising, what number is critical for us to get to become profitable, right? So I can get you plenty of clicks, but if you're $1 a click and you're investing $10 a click, you're not making any money, right? So we want revenue or conversion value to be part of this conversation. So we've gotten this traffic, we've got some data, and like my clients say, can I eat it? So we got to get to profitability, and we can't do that if we don't have data that gives us predictability. So when we get into, okay, what's actually working for us, in this example, this is a pool company that does weekly service as well as construction. So there are certain things that are important for a weekly recurring subscription, and there's things that are important for things like remodeling and construction and so on, which are generally a one-time purchase versus a repeat purchase. So the customer value is different. So if I can create more weekly service clients, there's a lifetime value associated with that person. And then there's a conversion value associated with a construction project, which is generally a one-time purchase, right? So we have to look at both of those things. And then what levers can we pull to affect the conversion value, right? The website, the marketing, the messaging, the imaging, the colors, right? There's lots of little things that we can touch that will lift conversion value. Maybe it's more conversions for the same amount of money, right? Or more conversions for even a cheaper acquisition cost, right? So these are all levers that we look at. So when we have here all of the different events, these are behaviors that are happening on the website. So we know that if I've got 2,200 people coming to the website, 900 of them actually are engaging with my content, and I'm not getting clicks. So you can see in this first image, clicks are red. What does that mean? That means they got the information ahead of time, right? We talked about AI search mode. We talked about different ways to gather information without clicking, but we're driving people to the website, right? So you're getting this data back and forth. Now, what pages are they actually going to? How are they engaging with my content? Well, with AI search mode now, we're seeing a huge lift in blog articles. So on the website, if you're optimizing your website for AI search, which, hello, you kind of got to start doing that. If you haven't started, talk to a guy or a gal, figure it out. But we've got all of these blog articles, and you can see green all the way down, right? People are engaging with all of this messaging that's going out in their social media, it's going out in their display ads, it's going out in their messaging ads platforms, right? So there's engagement there. So now we want to say, okay, how are we doing versus the competition? Well, in this case, we're the blue line, where the other competition is the lower lines. So when we have great engagement on the website and people are getting the information that they want, right, we tend to run nice and high versus competition. So the question is, if you want to grow, what do you need? What levers do we need to pull to keep you at the blue line and not down in the pink line somewhere? So if you're trending above your competition, and we track it all, we make sure that if there's a market for what you're selling and seasonality says fish are biting, we want to fish when fish are biting. We want to invest in that traffic, or we want to pull back and allow someone else to invest in it. And as more and more people enter the auction, meaning they're starting to advertise, let's call it Cyber Monday, right? Yesterday, right? Your click costs probably went up for that day because you're competing for the same audience that a whole bunch of people are in the auction, and your level versus the competition got probably closer because just more people are buying buying for that traffic, right? So we have to think about things like that, seasonality, elections, right? There's lots of different things that affect what's happening in the auction. And again, now we're talking about predictability. So when we look at what happened in the past and we look at where we are today and what's happening in the future, again, levers that we have to pull to increase our conversion value to get more people for the same amount of clicks. So I wanted to just kind of go back to one other thing, retargeting, right? So predictability is the main focus here today. Profitability is finding that critical mass that says, I need to spend $1,000 to make $3,000. If I spend $500, it doesn't necessarily mean I make 600 or 800 or right. It could mean I don't make anything because we haven't determined how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. Okay.
Exactly. Right?
And I would say I'm showing my age, but that commercial came back last year, so now I can just say it. It's now relevant. But the idea, right, is that we need to know how many clicks we need to get a conversion, and if how many conversion actions are required to create a sale. And when we look at the events coming across, and in this scenario here on this picture, we're just showing very high level events, right? But when we create an analytics picture for our clients, there's lots of sub events so that we can see, okay, they came to event 1, that's a 10% chance of getting a sale. They came to event 2. Now my percentage goes up a little bit. Maybe that's 15 or 20%. They get to event 6. That's probably an 85% chance that I'm going to get a sale, right? But if event 7, which is purchase, is 0, something broke, right? So what's broken along the customer journey that we're not getting that final sale, right? And this is where, again, reflective data determines predictable results.
Right. And I think a lot of business owners assume, well, I spent money on ads, they're going to come to my site and then they're instantly going to buy, not realizing that only 1 to 3% of website visitors purchase the first time they come, right? And we're assuming that we're going to get that instant conversion, and that's just not how it tends to work.
We had a client who was selling a SaaS product. He's been going in since April. He came to us a week ago as a new client, desperate because he spent all this money on advertising and nobody's signing up, right? Well, when we looked at all of these events, he was getting people to the website, but they weren't booking a demo, or they'd book a demo and not show up, right? So there's things that were broken, right, that we were able to illustrate and move that needle a little bit. But when we looked at profitability, that's where the struggle was. They were getting some data, they were getting some results in terms of making it somewhat predictable, but they weren't getting those conversion actions, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was the big question. Look, I just spent all this money on advertising and I got nothing, right? So,
and it's really common with the small businesses, right? Because they don't necessarily have somebody looking at their numbers. Right? Is it making sense? And that's really it. It helps to have somebody on your side, on your team, right? That can give you a hand at that. So if you're looking at your advertising going, I'm spending money, I feel like I've got a hole at the bottom of my jar. All the money's just going and I don't feel like I'm getting anything back in it, right? Well, it's probably time to bring in somebody that's got the experience that can take a look at that whole customer journey, right? It's more than just the ad. I remember when I talked to somebody and they're like, well, I'm just going to send them to the website. I'm like, they're probably going to get lost on the website. Just sending an ad just straight to your website, no purpose, no landing page, no anything. They're like, okay, well, I surfed around. Now I'm leaving. Bye-bye. Right. So trying to understand what that customer journey is, really, you have to invest some time and effort into that. And you want to talk to somebody who knows what that means.
And you don't have to spend a lot of money doing it. So, our process of predictability, profitability, and growth is in that testing period, we might only spend $25 on a headline, right? We may spend $25 on an image, right? But we get testing, we get data, right? Which headline's working and so on to see what consumers are interacting with, right? And, it's like we said, we know what we think as business owners people want or how they buy our product. But I had a conversation with a company the other day who was trying to sell me marketing services, and and I was happy to chat with them. And I said, but look, the service that I want people to buy, they don't buy it in the way you want to present it, right? And it took me years and thousands of dollars to figure it out, right? That people buy in a certain way. We now have a system where we can find out within a few $100s in a couple of weeks, what people are going to actually engage with. And when we talk about growth, right, we all, as owners, we go, okay, predictability phase, that's expense, right? Profitability phase is good. Growth is necessary, right? So if we want to become, in the growing phase, we have to reduce what it costs to acquire a customer and we have to increase those conversion values and the lifetime value of that client. So we talk about the entire nurturing part of marketing, which is, okay, you've invested money to grab an audience. And I always say no cold traffic, dead ends. I don't want anybody coming to my website that I bought to drive them there and have it be a dead end. So, like you were saying, Christine, they'll come to the website and then they leave because they don't have a conversion action clearly identified, right? That's a dead end. So we have to make sure that there's a couple things going on. One is, can we capture any information from them that allows us to retarget? Do we want to give them a nice offer? Do we want to provide them a discount? You'll see it on the e-commerce sites all the time. Here's a coupon for first-time customers. Take 20% off your first order, right? We know it takes 4 orders to become a loyal customer, so we have to get people back and back and back. We did a campaign where we offered a coupon for a store visit, right? You actually had to go into the store and place the order to get the discount, because we knew if they physically went into the store, the salesperson now has a chance to get them into their follow-up sequences, right? So retargeting is a big part of the conversation when it comes to conversion value and cost of acquisition, right? You've paid to get them there. And now how do we maintain that relationship and continue to extend value to keep them engaged with us so that when they are ready to buy, we're top of mind?
Absolutely. When you think about it, right? If we're saying only 1 to 3% convert the first time there, well, that means you got to send 97% back again.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that?
Yep. And it's the percentages diminish as you get closer to the purchasing action, right? So we can drive 1,000 people there. 1% of those 1,000 might actually be looking for the service, right? And 1% of those might actually make a purchase. So we don't, that first purchase is the most expensive customer you'll ever have, right? Because you've paid all this money to get them there, you've nurtured them along the way, and then they've made an action to make a purchase. That should be the most expensive customer ever, right? After that, repeat purchases should be a breeze. Once they've come into your audience pool, then getting them back to the website should also be a breeze, right? So we have that top conversion action click cost, and maybe Google charged us $3 or whatever it was, depending on your industry. And so you've got that click cost, and it took 100 clicks to get them into getting their information to become part of your pool. Now you just spent $300 to get them in there, right? So that now is an important person to you as a business. So the retargeting function is now, can I keep my information in front of them either while they're searching out on the internet, which we call retargeting, or can we get them back to make a purchase, which is called remarketing, right? So if we've got the retargeting going on, we find click costs will be 40% of the original cost. So you can save 60% of that initial click cost in a retargeting campaign, right? So having a matched audience, that's another way to reduce your conversion cost. If you've taken a list of people that have shown interest, and I put them in as an audience to Google, and I say, here's 5,000 people that have engaged with me but didn't purchase, right? And I know who they are and I've got their information. I can securely parse that information back to Google, and I can serve just that group a new ad. And then I can take that group of video watchers, link clickers, whatever it might be, people who've engaged in different ways, and I can make that a new matched audience. and send them something else, right? We can also take intent behaviors and we can say, okay, somebody went to one of my competitors and I want to send them my ad, right? So think about pizza, right? Maybe you've got a pizza shop new in town and the main corporate brand is up the street and you know that their quality is not as good as yours, in your opinion, right? Then maybe you want to send everyone that visits that location your ad and send them a coupon, right?
Because you
Pizza is
already
a
knew
very
they were interested in pizza, right?
They're pizza eaters, right? And they're in your neighborhood.
So out of
And
all that, if you did not catch the whole meaning behind that, it costs more to acquire a new client than it is to keep a current client, right? And those that are already showing interest in what you're doing, right? So there's a whole mindset, a philosophy, behaviors, paying attention to all those details that you can adjust along the way, which is going to change your conversion rates. It's going to change the cost and how much money you're spending on it. This is why you want to have a conversation with Joel. Just going to say right there. And he's got this level of understanding on how this all ties together. And he is just touching the edge of his knowledge base when it comes to ads. He has come up with stuff where I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, seriously, you'll be like, this is who I want to get in front of. Right. And he's like, okay, does that make sense for your business? Is that where your people are? Okay, well, let's talk about how to make that happen. He will come up with ideas that you didn't even know existed. Okay. So I'm just telling you, you want to get on a call with Joel Snyder. Right. So this is our freeideasession.com. You can hop on there, make a call with him and sit down and say, here's the hot mess that is my advertising, or I've been running to run ads, but I wasn't sure how to start, or right. He is the person you want to come to who can really take a look at what's going on and really give you some advice from a perspective that you're like, where have you been all my life? Just saying.
I appreciate that. And, and we'll fill in these little areas of our circle as to what's important to you. I think the biggest thing that well, I don't want to say it's negatively, but there's a lot of marketers out there that have a package and the packages have purpose. Okay. But if all you do is build websites, then everybody needs a new website. Right.
Absolutely.
If I see that you have a website and it's got good content and we can just optimize it and we can build it out and we can add blog pages and things like that, why build a new website? Right. So there's, we want to work with what you need, not just a package of services. So that's why our CMO campaign is to work as or alongside your marketing department. And I've done it both ways many times. I was out training a marketing department of 6 people on their Google Ads campaigns last year, and we were able to increase their return on ad spend from a 2.5 to 1 to a 4 to 1. We've got estate planning attorneys that are seeing anywhere from 4 to 1 return to 12 to 1 returns on their dollars invested in marketing. So that, it just kind of depends on a few of the different factors out there. But the bottom line of all of that really is conversion values, right? What levers we need to pull and how do we get that audience in the door for the least amount of money? We took over a client not too long ago. Their cost of acquisition to get a meeting, not even to get a purchase, but to get a conversation with that customer was about $124 when we did the analytics, right? We got them down in the 70s and 60s, wow. Right? So it's reading the data, understanding the predictability, finding critical mass, and then how do we grow that? Are we just about out of time or do we have a couple minutes?
We have a few more minutes.
Okay.
You have another gem of wisdom you're going to share with us, Joel?
Well, I want to talk about the multi-layer approach. Multiple layers of advertising controls your costs. So if you look deep in the weeds or talk to your marketing guy and you look at your analytics, you will see that in the customer journey path of the analytics is paid media, social media, paid media, website visit, right? There may be 4 or 5 touch points that happened before they became a customer. And we watch that because the multi-layer approach says content that's on your social media channels illustrates to people checking you out that you are active and that you're actively informing, engaging with, and a part of the conversation, right? And not just sales conversation, but community as well, right? So that's social media layer, and a lot of people pay a ton of attention to it. Some people pay too much attention to it. We had a client going, I should be posting 3 times a day. Well, that would be okay, you know, if you were an entertainer and you have a show tonight. Okay. Otherwise, you know, but that said, the level of activity for the amount of result that you're going to get out of it, right, may not be worthwhile. If you're posting organically and you look at your Facebook engagement rates or your Instagram rates, and you may have 3,000 followers or even more, but you look at the number that engaged with your content that actually saw it, it's like 12. Right. Okay. So what's the point of posting 3 times a day if only 12 people are going to see it?
Well, and the conversion rate on social media, a lot of times we talk about them kind of being glory numbers. They're the pretty facade in the front that this many people, but how much of it actually converted to real business, right? Depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it, right? It's a numbers game at that point. And like you said, a lot of times the numbers don't pan out to the conversion that you're hoping that you're going to get.
Right. And the desired outcome, right? It's because every platform has its purpose. And many people will look at a social media platform for a purchase conversion. And that is not the purpose that platform was invented.
Right.
Right. So we have to monetize to reach a group of people on that platform that have exhibited some kind of behavior. And the algorithm helps you out with that. Right. So you'll see it in your engagement numbers when you run an ad. It'll say you got shown to this many people based on your targeting options, and of that audience, certain amount of people actually engaged with your ad, right? So, but the whole point of it is with a multi-layer approach, if you think of it in terms of audience building and this customer journey, what action was taken to put them into your sequence of events to bring them closer to you for making a purchase. So we use social media as one layer for audience building, which is mostly familiarity, credibility, awareness, right? We can add leads. Yeah, there's lead forms and all that stuff. Yes. Okay. But it may not be the one channel that you want to put all your eggs into, right? May not be that one basket. So you go, oh, but I only have a limited amount of money. Well, let's find out what critical mass is for each desired outcome for each platform so that we can determine an appropriate budget. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, one thing I got to tell you, I understand advertising dollars is your grocery money. Okay. I know it's coming out of your grocery budget. It's coming right out of that bottom line number. So as a fiduciary of advertisers, I make a very personal responsibility, having owned 5 of my own businesses, to be very careful with people's advertising dollars. Mm-hmm. And if critical mass cannot be met for the budget you have available, let's go meet on a beach, have a daiquiri, and enjoy the sun. Because advertising and spending less than what's necessary is going to end in disappointment. Mm-hmm. And I don't want anybody's businesses failing because you put all of your resources into a ill-advised advertising campaign.
Absolutely. And it's all intertwined. Like you said, it's a layering concept. And so if you're sending them to the website randomly, but not a landing page, right, and they're getting lost, well, that was just money that you just dumped down the toilet for advertising, right? If they get there and there's no conversion, there's nothing for them to do, nothing for them to take action, nothing for you to collect their information, there's nothing for them to interact with. Well, once again, you've dumped the money out, right? So advertising is more than just putting the money into an ad, right?
And nowadays, more than ever,
creative is just part of the whole thing.
Right. And more than ever today, the customer journey is self-directed, and they will disappoint you based on how you think they should be behaving. So going back to our book about waiting for our cats to bark, right? They just aren't, right? They're just not going to. So unless what you're serving them is relevant, salient, informative, credible, two things are going to work against you. The algorithm isn't going to show your information, and the customer isn't going to engage with you, right? Because the decision to purchase was made before the search. So they're just looking where they're going to buy from, right? So I want a pool in my backyard. That decision happens because of some external influence, right? My kids, my neighborhood, my neighbors, whatever it might be. It isn't because I saw an ad on Google, right? So the decision to purchase happened before they ever called you. So we have to recognize that customer journey is self-informed, self-directed, and influenced by what they're trying to get out of it. What problem are they trying to solve? And so our messaging now, we talk about things that are important to the customer. So if you haven't talked to your customers, find out what's important to them, and then you'll know how to talk to them, right? I have a slogan on my website. We want to reach out to your market in the way they want to be reached. Okay. Do they want to get your information in an email? Do they want to see an ad from you? Do they want to see you in their local publications? How do they buy your product? And if you're not asking them, you're going to misguess. Right.
Absolutely. You look at the trends and the behaviors that they're taking, right? What makes sense for your particular audience? I mean, you've noticed with the insurance and things, the next generation, they don't even want to talk to somebody. Give me an option. Let me see what I need to know online. Make it very minimalist. I don't want to spend that much time on it. Yeah, that worked. Right. And then off they go. They literally do not want to talk to an agent,
Yeah, although now, we have virtual agents, which allows people to be anonymous. And I have a chat bot for marketing, and it's in the...
Right. Now they have instant access. They can ask whatever they want. There's a certain level of anonymous, right, between that. So they don't have to feel like responsible. They can do what they want, and they're independent, and they can do it on their time, right? So it's changing, right?
Yeah.
And how we do advertising is completely changed. So if you want somebody that's keeping up with the trends, that is paying attention to your clients and your potential clients, right, those prospects, what they're doing, what their behaviors are, and what you're going to need to tweak a little bit here and there in order to get the results that you're looking for, I'm just going to say, reach out to Joel. He's my go-to. I'm just honest, straight up. Joel is the go-to guy. So make a conversation with him. You're going to really be happy. I can't imagine anybody saying, oh gosh, that was just a waste of time. Said no one ever who's had a conversation with Joel. I'm just saying. Okay, so freeideasession.com is where you want to go. Have a conversation. Tell him this is what's working. I broke this. I don't know what I did, right? If you're not getting the results you want, or maybe you're just ready to get started, right?
And Christine, can you put up the Marketing Cafe welcome page? Is that something that can scroll on the screen?
We probably could. Let's see what we can do about that. Let me grab that out of our right here. Talk about the Marketing Cafe. What is?
Yeah. So the whole idea is that there are services that you need. Like I said, you may not need a website. You may not need a Google ad campaign. You might need a nurturing campaign. You might need some type of audience building or audience outreach. And on our welcome page, there's a actual chat bot there, a virtual chat bot where you can ask marketing questions. And then if you want to book a meeting, you can do that. But the whole idea is that, there's live help if you want to speak with a person, but then you can just go right in there and you can type in any questions that you want.
I'm doing it.
Get some some information. But feel free to do that. Also on my website, there's a calculator button. If you want to know what an average campaign would run, you can go into the calculator and get some basic numbers. But the whole idea, right, is that if you want to be self-informed, it's there for you. If you want to have a conversation where we do a deep dive on what's working and what's not working, I'll do that for you at no charge. In the free idea session link, you just click on there. It's not a sales pitch. It's not about, you buying a package. It's about you having a clear understanding of what's working and where you might improve or explore a new channel, launch a new product. We can talk about those types of ideas as well.
He knows the secrets. I'm just saying, there's things that you don't even know that you don't know. And you won't know until he tells you. And you'll be like, oh, that's a thing. I'm just telling you, it's going to blow your mind. You just got to get on a call with them, and then you're going to have so much fun. It's going to make you change how you look at your advertising, right? Advertising isn't supposed to be something that you just spend and never get anything back out of, right? It's an investment in your company. The idea is if you do it right, you get business back out of it, right? That's the goal. It's not supposed to just be something you just keep spending. It's supposed to bring something back in. So if your advertising is not bringing what you want.
And we have two really great kind of categories of customers, right? People that have been doing it and are frustrated because they're not seeing the results they want. And then there's people that are at the high end of the expense chain, right? They're spending more per acquisition than is relevant to the numbers when it comes to conversion values and how much you should be spending for that conversion. So, feel free to ring it up and, we'll talk about it. And like I said, we can work as a marketing team or alongside your marketing team and mentor and train your people so that if we get hit by a bus, you have the tools to move on and be successful.
Well, I'm going to pretend you didn't say that part. We are putting blessings and good vibes out in the universe right now. I'm just going to cover that one over that one. All right. Joel, I adore you.
It's fun stuff. And a quick plug out to the Giver Marketing Network. There's some really great people there. If I'm not your guy, there's plenty of people that could be your guy within the marketing network that have great specialties and spend a lot of time being professional at whether it's LinkedIn outreach or email marketing or website generation. Christine probably sits at the top of the pinnacle in that group with her skills. And if you're looking to get on podcasts or build out your nonprofits, right, the networking diva is there.
Yeah. What's the goal of your business? What are you trying to do? What are we trying to convert on? Are we trying to just do list building? Are we trying to, are we warming things up because you're going to launch a book later, right? So you got to look at it as an overall picture, right? You can't just put money on and say, all right, it's not like going to Vegas. We're going to put some money down and gamble. Here we go. Hopefully we're going to win something. And no, that's not how your advertising is supposed to work. Okay.
Right. And if you're a marketer watching this today and you'd like to learn about how to build your agency better, join the Giver Marketing Network. There's plenty of paths there to help you grow, and we'd love to help you do that.
Absolutely. And come hang out with us because why? The tide rises all, and we love that sense of community. So don't be a lonelypreneur. Don't be a lonely agency. Make other marketing friends. Come play with us. I'm going to pop up. Let's see. Here we go. There it goes. Networking for Marketers on Wednesdays, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. If you're in Texas or down the center like I am, that's going to be 10 a.m. But come hang out, givermarketing.com/networking. And you can come have some fun. We have some interesting conversations. We like to talk about cutting edge and trends and, overcome obstacles together. We really have a really good time with that. So this is your sense of opportunity to be part of a bigger community, right? Marketing is such a broad space. It's just huge, right? And so when you can kind of lean into the other experts in the room, I always learn something new, right? So this is a great opportunity to either share your wisdom, right? Learn from others, find people to partner with that you might want to work with for those larger projects. I mean, this is a great place to hang out. So come visit us at Giver Marketing. We really look forward to getting to know you better. And Joel, as always, you bring the game every single time. I got to tell you, I'm always impressed by what you share with us. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much as well.
All right, y'all, we will see you tomorrow, either at the Giver Marketing with networking, or we will see you next Tuesday for our marketing broadcast. And we will see you soon.